맛있겠다.
이게 뭔가요?
참 그래.
Do you have this kind of menu in French cafe?
없어.
It will work?
네 아마도.
네,
네
카페?
아마도. 난 프랑스에서 진짜 농촌 사람이야. 난 농촌에서 시골에서 카페 없어. 카페 다 바야.
그러네.
프랑스에서 카페 갈 거야. 술 먹고 싶어.
I asked the wrong person.
맞아요. 근데 요리 더
요리가 더
알아.
잘 많이
맞아.
알아?
맞아요. 좋은 카페 프랑스에서.
같이 가자.
프랑스에서 카페 시그니처 메뉴 많이 없어서.
그러네.
I think you don't like signature in general. For example, when you go to the bookstore, you don't have this like special section for bestseller. I think you make everything like not to stand out so much, like not to frame people to think it's specific
Influencer's
way.
choice.
I was so surprised that you didn't have like this kind of bestseller sectors because like that's what we do in Korea.
맞아요.
I think people in Korea are pressured to make the right choice. Like not only the right one, but like the timely dimension. We have to make the first choice.
맞아요.
It has to be
맞아요.
right. So
시간이.
I think it has to be verified by people who read more because I think Korean people in a way feel guilty that they don't read a lot or they don't know about coffee so much. So, but they still want to make the right decision.
맞아요.
You know, I think it's coming with this pressure not to make a mistake.
맞아요.
Pressure to not make a mistake.
와, 잘 찍었어.
What a pressure.
이 퍼포먼스.
뭐
잠깐만.
이게 뭐 하는 거야?
진정해. 진정해.
나는 프레셔 좀 받아야겠다.
언니는 분량을 이런 식으로 이게 생각하고 잤지 언니.
신발 깨끗하고요.
스위트.
죄송해요 여러분. 다행이다. 근데 이거 안 하고 저거 엎어서.
뭔데?
조심해요. 천천히 먹어.
나 자신감 아무것도 못할 것 같아. 나 입으로 뱉진 않았지. 혹시 뱉었다면 모자이크 처리 못할게.
프랑스는 역시 커피 먹을 때는 커피만 먹어요.
그래서 프랑스 안에 그거 신기해. 한국에는 카페 가서 커피 아이스크림 시켜놓고 뭐 하잖아. 그냥 하다가 한 입 먹고 시간에 걸쳐서 먹는데 여기는 진짜 커피를 다 마시고 이거 마신 다음에 하니까
맞아.
그게 진짜 처음에 이해가 안 가. 그리고 그런 아이스크림 나는 이렇게 푸시고 아이스크림 먹기도 길고 다음 행선지로 길거리 걸어가고 싶었는데 나한테 그게 약간 당연해서 당연히 아이스크림 테이크아웃 한다는 얘기 아니는데 프랑스어는 당연히 아이스크림을 앉아서 먹어야지. 어떻게 아이스크림을 걸어다니면서 먹는데 아이스크림 맛을 어떻게 느끼냐.
밖에서 조금 더우면 아이스크림 엄청 바리바리 멜트해서 조금 떨렸어요.
진정이 안
되는.
아니 스트레스를 엄청 받아서 먹는 거야. 난 있는 시간에 먹고 싶었는데 우리 항상 뭐 먹을 때그 가서 이렇게 이것만 먹고 맛이 어떻다는 얘기들 다 먹고 나서 얘기하는 시간 따로 있고. Yeah, the thing that I like about the cafe that we've been to in Incheon is like people take time to just like nobody pressures you.
Yes.
I think I like the way people accept the mistakes. For example, like that one, I think there was a staff who was making a mistake, but like she's not so embarrassed. Clients were not so like aggressive.
Yes,
They were
yes.
understanding each other felt like relaxed, not
Yes.
only by the taste of the coffee,
Yes.
but the attitude that people expect from each other.
Even if they realize they made a mistake, maybe they will still give it to the
맞아.
client. They don't waste it.
맞아.
So for example, we went to cafe. I wanted a large size. She gave me medium, and she still gave it to me.
맞아.
And she said, "Oh, sorry," and then I will give you a discount. And I said, 괜찮아요. 이렇게 괜찮아요. 그리고 나는 좋아요. 왜냐면 I don't want to waste it. Like,
맞아.
if they just make a small mistake, for example, it was McDonald's, the ice cream made a mistake with the ice cream. Maybe put strawberry syrup instead of chocolate syrup and just throw it away. You know, they really don't care. Yeah. It's okay to tell that, oh, I'm really sorry, you made a mistake. And the client should choose. If the client wants to keep it like that, then it's okay. Maybe the client change the mind and say, oh, this is even better. What? It's okay.
I think it's related to like this perspective or mindset that like I need to get exactly what I asked for, especially because I paid for it. So everything you paid for it, you have all the right to train the attitude to be impolite.
Yes.
Like I think that's why money is so important in Korea, because you can risk something that is justified because you paid for it. I think the second thing is also about this pressure not to make a mistake, because I think Steph, even the customers are okay about the mistake they use, they feel so embarrassed and guilty about making a mistake.
And saying it, you have to tell the
And we are
customer.
afraid to admit that we've made a mistake and
Yeah.
tell the
Yes.
customer,
Yes,
like,
yes,
explain
yes.
what you have
맞아요.
made. And I think it's similar in the company. Like we make a lot of mistakes,
Yes,
but we
yes,
want to
yes.
hide it, or we want
Yes.
to redo everything from
Yes.
the beginning because we feel not good about saying people
맞아요.
that we made a mistake.
그리고 keep face. Don't take a risk to lose face. Or I can understand. So, yes, there is some tolerance.
Yeah, there's no tolerance in Korea. I think it's related to the education that
Yes,
we're
yes, yes,
receiving.
yes,
For
yes.
example, in also no Korean essay,
Yes, yes, yes.
what we learn is like how not to make a
No
mistake.
mistake, yes.
Like we don't have essay, and the one who make least mistake
Yes,
as a short
yes.
amount of time is getting the best scores. I think we are learned not to make a mistake, but then when you are in society, when you are an adult, you make like countless mistakes. And what you really need to learn is how to deal with your mistake, not about not making a mistake at all. Because with that attitude, you will only stay at your comfort zone. Try not to dare, because you will always make a mistake for things that you're not familiar with.
I think in France, in general, and maybe in my case in particular, from my education at school or with my parents, like not only mistakes were like tolerated, but even welcomed, because it was a way to learn, an occasion to learn from the mistake, try to understand the mistake, and to not to fear the score, or to care too much about the score, but care about understanding the mistakes and what you can learn, like to know that the exam is just about checking if you understood what you had to learn, and if you need to learn it again. And
How to proceed with your mistake. So I think that's why
yes.
improvisation is important, because
Yes,
like
yes.
improvisation is not complete like the event just
Yes,
because
yes,
you
yes,
made you made a mistake.
Yes.
Like you proceed like with that mistake,
Yes.
you make things funner or more
Yes,
positive
yes.
or in a completely different direction.
Yes,
I think
yes,
if I were to if I were like a minister of education, I was seriously thinking about having this improvisation courses in elementary school or middle school and high school, because I think this is what you really need when you are in society as a citizen or a member of any kinds of community.
맞아요.
I think it's also related to the creativity that Korean education is really trying
Yes,
to
yes,
fight
yes,
for,
yes,
because
yes.
creativity is not coming from like having a lot of input
Yes,
and have
yes.
exactly the same output. It's about
맞아요.
ability to connect and how to deal with the uncertainty.
맞아요.
And I think theater play can really help, not only for your creativity, but to put yourself in other people's shoes. Because if you play the role and like if you are really immersed in the role, I think you can have this ability, to understand the people in a completely different situation. And I think this is exactly the point that we are lacking in our society, because we take things for granted and we only get along with the people we are very similar to. And then I think there's a growing gap between
맞아요.
different groups, different people, and we equalize them wherever. Theater play can also help how to improvise. Because sometimes you make mistakes.
Yes.
So because like every course of our life we always face like uncertainty and new things that we didn't expect, and people panic because we don't know what to do because we were trained to find the right fixed answer, otherwise we will be punished or penalized. But I think this way of training is really good. You know how to help other people and be helped to find solution to different challenges, and I tried to fix it, and I think it's really good. And I think that's why Korean people find it difficult to have a small talk. One thing that's really frustrating, or the thing that I feel sorry for, the atmosphere in Korea, like when I go to seminar or conference, I think like teachers and students were really trying to raise their hand and try to ask questions after the seminar. And I think I still feel like they feel pressured, like they feel like they should look smart or need something insightful. And they're not having fun. It's not from genuine curiosity. Like at least this is like how I feel. I feel like we care so much about to impress other people. Like you need to prove how good question you're asking and how smart or capable you are, and then like you cannot have fun. I'm hoping that people could do it in a less stressful way. And that's why I thought people should learn how to improvise. Like not only the right answer, but like how to deal with the answer. And I think it's also related to language learning. So many people ask me like how can I improve my English, especially I've never lived abroad, and I think the best answer is to improvise. Like I try to teach my students how to improvise. Like I ask them like very random questions that they could not prepare for, and then like they struggle a lot because like first of all they're not fluent in English so much, but then second of all they have to focus on content. And I think it's still very important to make them speak about new things, new situation, because this is exactly what you will face when you go abroad. When you see international friends, like they will come up with like something that you wouldn't expect, and then like you freeze if you don't have an answer in your mind, if you don't have a lot of training for improvisation.
Yes, you're right. It takes time. It takes time to change. I think it's a lot about culture, but also education. Just hope that some change will come little by little, maybe with the new generation, next generation, and I think it's education from school, but also parents, and feeling that playing and play is not a wrong word. It's not wrong.
You don't have to feel guilty.
Yes. It should be not only accepted but promoted. I realize that it's theater acting, and even better with improvisation, it can really be beneficial for people. It's also about how to relax, better communicate, and to practice foreign languages.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
I think communication skills are really important,
Yes.
like really important skills in general in your life. And we are not trained for this, like how to communicate with other people. And you need a lot of sense, like this creativity and like sense of like what other people are feeling and how to put your idea into the word in the right time and right choice. We've never had this training, and it's a pity. It's really a pity.
It's also about daring more, respecting each other, but keep trying to connect, and without the fear of imperfection. Like you could always be better, or will always find someone better.
I think still we can improve the skills after you become an adult, because that's my case. Like my 20 was full of struggle to communicate with people, like very different people like you. Like I had to connect, I had to improvise a lot, and I could see I improved a lot. So I think we can still improve this ability, and I feel more relaxed and I'm more confident about myself that I can deal with whatever situation or whatever like people that I might confront in the future. Like people might say this ability to do small talk or perform or socialize, but I think this ability to improvise, not only striving for the right single answer, but to find like how you can
deal with the changing situation with what you have by interacting with people, not only by reading 자기 개발 book, but really go to the world. What you think you need to do, what you think, and see how other people feel, and then make a connection. You listen to their answer and then improvise. It's not only the ingredient that you brought with you, but you kind of make new ingredient by mixing what you have with other people. And I think this is what I did for my entire 20s. I feel much more myself.
Exploring without the map.
Yeah.
And yes, you're right. It's very important to remember and believe that it's never too late. Never too late. It might take time, of course. There is always a way to explore new things and new ways.
I think you are the first one that made me believe in that words because I saw how much you progressed in many ways in terms of language, for example, like English, Chinese, like Korean, like it's unbelievable. Like you start, well, I wouldn't say zero, but still like you improved a lot. Like people would not believe. Like if people in Mondidier might kind of believe what I'm saying, like your friends, like how much you've changed in terms of like language or intellectual like commitment. He barely spoke English 10 years ago. He could just list up the few words I could still understand, but like I couldn't communicate like properly.
소재로도.
But now he's writing in English, he's speaking in English. We discussed like very deep topic in English, and he has never studied abroad. We've never studied abroad for English, like native English speaking countries. If your objective is to merely improve your English, I think there's a clear limitation. But once you are focusing on really communicating with other people or with other world, I think it's like best way in the long term to improve your English because it's funner and more sustainable.
And think of find the joy, find the enjoyment, and to try to think about why we want to do certain things. But yeah, enjoying the process and the communication together.
And so, like when I advise people, when people ask me for advice how to improve their English, before thinking about the language itself, find their passion.
Yes.
If you have something that you really want to discuss, express, and follow. English itself, languages. For example, my desire to speak French is to be connected with your parents, and then like I'm more motivated because I have people to talk to.
In China, one very experienced English teacher, she told me that she was also teaching like staff for the company and with the boss and so older man and the younger woman employee, and she was a bit shy and like she didn't dare to speak in front of other people, but they did some acting, and so the teacher asked this young girl to act as if she's the boss of her real boss, and suddenly she was able to speak English and to even give orders in English to the boss, and then she was having fun and she could dare to do it because I have to, and I can. I'm acting and it's my theater player.
It's like similar with my case because sometimes when I go to interpretation, I feel like I'm not ready, and then I think like, okay, I'm in the theater play and I have to play the role of the interpretation. Then I pretend that I know the thing, and it's kind of theater play.
Yes, and as you told me before, it's not only about faking how good you are, but it's also about keeping your client in a good mood and relaxed, not to feel
to give them a nervous ambience.
Exactly.
Communication should be like about relaxing each other, not the opposite way. But many times I feel this way, like even if we don't intend to, we're stressing each other out.
When you feel some tension, not only it's not easy to relax, and most of the time, like tension will just be accumulating, and people will stress each other, and of course, indirectly, maybe you cannot say relax, even to close people. If you just tell them relax, it's not relaxing. Maybe even more annoying. And yes. And you, I think you are especially good at adapting to your audience.
That's true.
맞아.
One thing that I found it interesting is I adapt my English to the level of English to the person that I'm talking to. So last time, like we had lunch together with my international friends, and they spoke very good English. My friend says, "Wow, why don't you speak English like this to me? You can also help me to improve my English because."
기분 안 좋았어?
오 진짜 나랑 진짜
자기한테도 그렇게 말해달라는 거야.
나한테도.
그냥
말해줘.
기분이 나빠.
나도.
그죠?
I was also surprised that I adjust like how much effort because I still need to put effort when I speak English, and when I talk to native people, I burn more energy.
맞아.
But with him, like I don't know, I put less effort. Yeah. Do you have any tips that you can give to those people who want to improve by improvisation? Because it's not like people can go to theater play courses, like they work and they're busy with their life. How can people improve their improvisation skills?
I think it's mostly about find a way to dare more and to try new things.
And meeting new people.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Like to keep exploring in every way. But it can be different. People give a chance. Always give a chance.
To yourself and to other people.
Yes, yes. And also to consider the worst case situation, the worst case scenario. Even in the worst case, it's okay. You are safe. You are embarrassed, but then it's okay. You move on. You know.
I think someone who is humble doesn't really mind to lose their face because we know that we can make a mistake. And if you're not humble, if you say yourself, I'm the perfect man or perfect who doesn't make a mistake ever in my life,
Yes.
then you're afraid more to
Yes,
make a
exactly.
mistake.
Exactly.
So we have to be always humble in a way.
That would be a mistake. Let's meet on go back there and have fun together and discuss with new people and
And be surprised.
우리 서프라이즈 있어?
여기.
나는 서프라이즈 아닌 것 같아.
맞아. 네.
Please subscribe. 어떻게 말해? 구독과 좋아요.
ASMR version.
구독과 좋아요.